Hi, and welcome to the Trucking Scribe. It's Esther. We are still in our Bible study on the birth of Christ. We are doing Jesus in July 24. So we're talking about Jesus' birth. We're celebrating his birth. Today we're looking at Luke 2, 1 through 7, and how Caesar Augustus decided that he wanted a census of all the people in his land. So this made Joseph and Mary have to travel over 90 miles to Bethlehem. Mary was in her last few months of pregnancy, and if you've ever had a child, for the women, you know how bad it is in the last months. Carrying this baby around, you're huge, and you could just imagine her having to ride on a donkey. I couldn't. I don't know. We think 90 miles in a car is a long ways. About 90 miles of walking or riding on a donkey. That's that's a lot. But so after we get done with our Bible study, we're going to look at these two. Put the covers on them and the spine. So that's what we're doing is we're putting the covers and the spine on. This one is actually made from some craft packaging that I had. I just thought it would look really good. So I actually have it upside down. So this is the front. Yeah, I think, yeah, there we go. So we're making the spine and the covers for both of these journals as we talk about the birth of Jesus. Hope you enjoy the video. Thank you. Today we're talking about Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem, some of the reasoning behind it, and what was going on at the time. So we're reading chapter 2, 1 through 7 of Luke. At the time, the Roman Emperor Augustus decreed that a census should be taken throughout the Roman Empire. This was the first census taken when Quirinius was governor of Syria. All returned to their ancestral towns to register for the census. And because Joseph was a descendant of King David, he had to go to Bethlehem in Judea, David's ancient home. He traveled there from the village of Nazareth in Galilee. He took with him Mary, to whom he was engaged. He was now expecting a child, and while they were there, the time came for their baby to be born. She gave birth to her firstborn son. She wrapped him snugly in strips of cloth and laid him in a manger, because there was no lodging available for them. So, I'm going to push that down. I didn't even realize there was another pen right there. So on day 4 of our Bible study, we are talking about the journey to Bethlehem, a critical part of the Christmas story. So I just read you Luke 1 through 7. And basically, what I got from it was that Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem is one of the most pivotal moments in the Christmas narrative. This journey sets the stage for the birth of Jesus and represents a journey of faith and obedience. Joseph, a carpenter from Nazareth, and his betrothed Mary lived when the Roman Empire exerted control over the land of Israel. A decree from Caesar Augustus required everyone to return to their ancestral homes for a census. For Joseph, this meant a journey to Bethlehem, the city of David, as he was of David's lineage. The journey from Nazareth to Bethlehem was complex. It was about 90 miles, much of it through challenging terrain. Mary at this point was heavily pregnant, which would have made the journey even more dangerous. They had to travel through deserts, climb hilly terrains, and brave the elements. Despite the difficulties, Mary and Joseph's commitment to obey the decree and their unwavering faith in God's plan are lessons for us all. They were willing to face discomfort and uncertainty because they trusted God's purpose. The journey to Bethlehem is a testament to the humble beginnings of Jesus' life. Born in a stable without a room in the inn, Jesus' story begins with hardship and simplicity. The journey to Bethlehem sets the stage for the remarkable life that was to follow. The journey also has a symbolic significance. Bethlehem in Hebrew means house of bread. It is fitting that Jesus, often called the bread of life, was born in a place with such a name. The journey to Bethlehem is integral to the Christmas story. It demonstrates the faith and obedience of Mary and Joseph, sets the stage for a humble beginning, and carries symbolic importance as we celebrate Christmas. It's a reminder of this journey and lesson it holds for all. So as I was studying, I looked at the Blue Letter Bible online. I will link this particular study. And of course, we know that Jesus was born in Bethlehem, but some of this that wasn't mentioned is at the time the Roman Empire was larger with the land. It ranged from Parthia all the way to Britain. So at that point, Rome governed more land, owned more land than ever before or since. At that time, it was called the Empire of the Whole Earth because, so of course, Bethlehem, the house of bread. So King David was born in Bethlehem, not the city of David known as Zion. God used Caesar's census to glorify God. This is why Joseph and Mary went to Bethlehem, because of the census, because the prophets had foretold Jesus' birth in Bethlehem. And it's just a really great story to read. I enjoyed reading the Blue Letter. We have the journals with the lace on it and the signature sewed in. So now we can work on our covers. And this is a 12 by 9 inch, so I think I can get one cover out of each journal, out of each piece. So what I'm going to do is I want to bring it close right here. I want to leave like a 1/8 of an inch, and I want to do an 1/8 of an inch at the top. And then on the bottom down here, I want about the same. So when this is on, I want it this way, that way you can see it without the lace. I want some, maybe 1/4 of an inch to, yeah, about 1/4 of an inch on each side of the cover, top and bottom also. So you'll have a little hangover. And so I'm going to cut this one. So I can actually cut these out of the same board. So one will be the top front and one will be the top back. So they should be the same size. Yep. So what I need to do now is take my outside cover, so I'm going to put this outside front, and the other one outside back. And I want these to be a little bit smaller, so I'm going to just measure this way. So I'm just going to put a little tick mark so I can show you what I want to do. You know what? Let's just go ahead and draw the whole line so it makes more sense. Okay, so this is the same size as the top. What I want to do is to come in maybe right there on both sides. So you get about 1/4 of an inch on each one. So you can see I didn't quite cut on the line. I moved it over. So now you can see how this has a little lip all the way around. That's what I'm looking for. And I'm just going to use this one as a template. So I'm using double-sided. But one thing is this printer printed wrong on this side. So I'm just going to draw my little line around so I know where to put it when I come back with the wet glue on it. So I'm just covering these front and back on here with the stick glue. So I just go back around and I do it this way. So then what I do is I just come in here and lay this right on that square where I wanted it. And I take my bone folder and I'm going to trim this right about there. So I'm looking to have enough, and I'll trim this too because that's a little bit more. So when you're doing covering the backs, you want to cut right there, but you don't want to cut all the way up to there. So see how I left a little bit? So what's going to happen is we're going to fold this over. And there's a couple of different ways that you can fold it. You can do your hand and just roll it over. I really like to press it against the mat and press it down. Same thing over here. So then I just take my bone folder and press it. I like to do the top and the bottom first to glue it. Let's see. I don't even need that. I don't know what I'm thinking today. Just gonna give me some glue. So I'm curious, when your bottle gets low, does it start sticking like that and not wanting to come out? Every time mine gets to about right here, which feels like it's about quarter way, it does this. First I just thought it was me, but it just kept happening, so I'm thinking it might be the glue. See, now it's coming out, but I wonder if the glue is getting air trapped up in there so that it's not wanting to come out right. And all I'm doing is covering one side of this board. So I do have other videos that show this in more detail. I'm going to cover all of these like this. You want to make sure you push these corners in. That way your corner has a nice little flat edge. And you don't even know it's mitered. So what I didn't do, and this has directional paper, I need to figure out which direction is top, and I do believe that is top because there's a 2, a 4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line that way, so maybe I can remember when I glue these together that that's on that side. So then I'm going to do the inside front, and I'm just using what I have. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to draw a line around it. Let me see first. Well, at least I got the top and the bottom going right this time, on the writing anyway. So I just draw around it. That's where I'm going to put it back at. So I'm using stick glue to glue this down because it just worked good. Yeah. And then I am putting some white glue across here. So what you do is you just take and line it up with those lines. And if they're off, it's not a big deal on this. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to trim it down to maybe 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch past the, and I'm going to cut this off a little bit too. It's just a little bit long. So again, I'm going to mark that is up. I'm going to trim these. And then before I glue it, I am going to fold these edges over so they will fold over nicely. I'm just pushing that paper and the board up against my mat, and I'm bending it to where it rolls that over good for me. Now would be a good time to check your corners, make sure that they're not cut too short. I'll eventually cut one too short and I'll be able to show you what I'm talking about. I haven't felt real great today. I've had a headache all day. But I didn't want to get behind on these because, I don't know, it's just in a series. I like to get them going. So this one is for tomorrow, for Wednesday. I have to do my Bible study part of it. So usually I do the Bible study first and then I try and do this, but sometimes I do them out of order. Today's one of those days. So I'll just put the Bible study part in the front. And I'm just rolling that up with my finger. Pressing it down. And I'm going to do the other side the same way. I feel like I'm in glue at the end. See if I can get any out of this. There's some coming out. I haven't used this in a long time. I don't like the bottle, the shape of it. I do like the thinness of the tip, but this part is too small. So there are my two backs or fronts. And I was thinking about using this because I'm going to have a topper on my journal too. So I'm thinking I will just use it. This is just a copy that I printed off on the printer from my other ones. So again, I'm going to check my up and down. So that's up. And I'm just going to put it right there. So if you had papers that have bad printing on the front or the back, you can do it this way. and to put that bad print side on the side where you're on the cardboard. So I can keep this for a cluster. That would be cute. I'm going to clip my corners. You know, I wonder what it would look like if I covered these with some paper bag kind of craft paper. This one. And the reason I'm thinking craft paper is because I have a roll of that somewhere. So I'm not sure how this is going to work, but we're going to try and cover these with this paper bag. I almost didn't catch that. So I did scrunch it up. And I'm going to try not to put so I'm thinking we could use this craft paper because of the rusticness of our journal as covers, and then we have a topper anyway. We will see how this works. This came in a shipping box from Amazon, I think. Like I said, it is wrinkled. I want it to be wrinkled. Okay. I'm not even going to use my thing to squish it down. I want it to be kind of scrunched like that. But I'm going to cut these edges the same way. I'm going to hold on to these little pieces because I may use them with the family. Well, you know, you really can't tell a whole lot of difference between the cardboard and the other part. Let's see. Other than the wrinkles. But it is a way to use up some old paper. You can do white too. I have some white paper like this somewhere. Like I said on the other one, we're doing a topper for it, so really you won't see the front cover because it'll be covered up by the topper. And this is so thin, I don't really need to so I have my covers, and I want my journal to be, I'm working on the spine right now. So I want it to be at least right there. Let's see, how long are these? 7.5. So since I'm making two, I'm going to cut this way first. So I want my journal to be about 3.5 inches. So I'm going to cut this at 9 because we're going to need like a 1/4 of an inch or so on each side to sew it in. These are fat eighths, I believe. Really pretty. So I want this to kind of be a little bit in, so maybe 1/8 of an inch in. I would say 7 1/4, 7 inches. So I'm just lining up on my grid here. I'm sorry I didn't show that a while ago. Let's see if this will look better. So I'm going to put the straight edge over here. And I really should iron it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to do 7 1/8. So I'm lining up right here by the 1/8 mark. Okay. And what I can do is go ahead and cut this also at the same time. This is going to be my cover to go over it. And it can be a little bit bigger. So then I'm going to cut my fabric in half. Like I said, I've got 2 journals, so that's why I'm working with the 9. Because when I finger press it, I'll have my mark right here to cut it in half. I'm just going to straighten all this up. Like I said, this would have been much better if I ironed it, but being lazy this morning for this one little piece. And watch, I'm going to say, yep, I should have ironed it right there. And you don't have to do it this way. I'm just... So I'm going to take my sewing machine and I'm just going to sew this onto this all the way around. So I'm going to go here, 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 and back up. So I'm going to trim the excess off because I don't need that right there. It can go in my little fabric there for clusters or something. So like I said, we're doing 2 journals. So that's why I have this extra piece, because we're doing 2. But I'm going to work on one at a time. And I'll probably just show you this one. I'll put this one over here. And I'll do it off camera. So this is ground espresso. I've not really used it before, but it seems pretty dark. So I'm trying to start off at the edges. And I'm not going to show you all this. I will just show you some of it, because I wrapped this in packing paper and I scrunched it up to get these lines. But I do want to do this before I put the covers on the book. You see right there, I got kind of close. I just keep adding a little bit. I do want to do a comparison. This is what we started with, and this is the grunged up kind of look. It's pretty good. I like that. So now I'm going to make some marks on my boards. So I need the outside front and the outside back. Inside will go right there for now. So what I want to do is I need to make a line, because I'm going to glue this to here. So I need a line to say where to stop. And I'm thinking, get this at around 4 1/4. do a half an inch line. That'll give it plenty of room. So right here's the half an inch. I'm just going to draw my line like that. And then if I have a directional, I'm going to make sure that my directions are going the right way. So that means you need a left and a right. So for instance, this, so if you were drawing the lines for this here, you would flip it over this way, because this is going to be your front. Flip it over. You need a quarter of an inch or half an inch line over here. And then a half an inch line here. And if you look, when you open this book, they go, this edge will go together. This is where the spine's going to be. So that's why I turned it around. For this, I do use fabric tack. So first, I have to stop, because I'll try and put this in the front. First, we need another flap back here. Remember, we left this envelope alone and that page alone. We're going to make another flap. So I just want to mark it where I want to cut it right in there, and I'm going to trim it. So what I have done is I've made this edge longer so it will fold over. And I'm going to glue it onto here, but I only want to glue right that part. I don't want to glue down this, so I could put my glue right here. And then do these edges here with this one. And this is going to give us another flap for our book to hold on to. So right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this where it meets right here, just like the front flap. It is a little bit different flap, but it works the same. I still have my pocket in there. And actually, I can put some glue right here to hold this part down. I just don't want it in the pocket part, so I'm using fabric tack because I am using fabric. If you have a directional fabric, you want to figure out which way you want this to go. So for me, I like this up at the top, so I think I'm going to just do it that way. And I'm going to put glue right here to that spine mark. I'm going to take my fabric and just line it up. And you can mark the top and the bottom if you want to, of where you want it to stop. I just kind of look at it and guess. Just press that down and get it good and sticky. And we're going to do the other side the same way. But what I want to do is line up the bottom of my board on the bottom, or on the straight line. Apologize, I'm not feeling that great today. I've got a headache, but I needed to get this out, so I know it could have waited, but trying to keep on a schedule for my own sanity. So again, I'm lining this one up right there. I've got this one lined up, and I'm just going to gently put over and line up my fabric, and that fabric tack lets you work with it for a few seconds so you can get it where you want it. You see I'm right here on that half-inch mark that I marked on here. So now we're going to put this onto the spine part. So what I want to do is I'm going to glue these down, this flap down and this flap one at a time to the back. But I want it to be right at that edge. So I want the edge of my text block right here so it'll open. And what I'm going to do, I put the glue over here first. See if I can get to where I can show. So then I'm trying to look at the top and the bottom. I want it right here on this edge. I can't see over there. So I want it right there. And I'm just going to press this down just like that. And then I'm going to come over here on this side and I'm going to look. Because one thing I want when this opens is for this to be able to lay flat. So it needs to be right there on the very edge. And you can just use your fingers and manipulate it. So when it opens, over here I want just a little bit more. See, I want those to kind of butt up to where this will lay down when you open it. Instead of, if it's too close, it won't flop over right, for a better word. So now what I'm going to do is take that a little bit too far. It's about right. This one seems a little too far up. It's about right too. So what I'm going to do is just I'll put some more glue in there. That may be what the problem is. I don't have enough glue right in there. So then what I'm going to do is sit this back here and let that fall. So we have our inside back, which I usually sign my name. That way when somebody in the future takes my book apart, they will have my name and the date. Because think about, you go to the thrift stores and garage sales and stuff, you're looking for books. And when you look at them, you're looking for the copyright date and maybe who wrote it and all that, to see how old it is. Well, this one you will have to go to someone to get it, because you'll have to take the book apart. So here I'm getting my edges, and I'm going to have to ink this a little bit when I get done. I forgot about that side. That's fine. What I do is I take and glue this, and if it's directional, you need to make sure which direction your book is going in. Okay. So this is the top of my book, and this is the way I've got it marked. I'm just going to lay it on here. I want to leave a lip around the whole thing, just like that, and press it down. And it is a good idea just to put that in between. So now I'm going to turn my book this way. And what we're going to do is push this fabric under. That way it's out of the way. And I'm wanting to put this part right here on the edge of that journal on both sides. So the way that I work this, I put my little thing right there to help hold it up. I'm going to put some glue on this flap. Let's see. So it's hard to kind of show and do at the same time sometimes. I have to think about it. So it's only on the flap, it's not down here on the spine. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to match this up just like I did the other one. I've learned that I like to open it, that way you can kind of tell that it's folding flat. You see, if I went right there, it wasn't folded flat, so it needs to fold right there. And that happens when you're putting this, when you're putting that part of the book on. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this cover down the same way we did on the front. Checking to see which way your pages are going. And if you'll look at some of my previous videos, you'll see I put covers on backwards and had to take them back off and redo them. As long as the glue's still wet, it's not as much of a problem, but afterwards it is a problem. So I'm going to sit this on here just like I did the other one. So what I'm going to do is take some wax paper and I'm going to sit it under a heavy book. So I'm going to go on and do my other journal with the cover on it, just like we did this one. I'm going to film it, so I may put some of that in there and just do a real quick like speed through maybe. But if you're new here, it'd be great if you hit the subscribe button so you can get more videos. And I would really love it either way. If you've been here a while or you just finding me, if you leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this envelope journal, and let me know how the weather is in your area. Today we're getting up close to the hundreds, so it's hot. But thank you and have a great day.